Today I'm having coffee with Michael Shapiro. He's a conductor and composer who I met many years ago at a Conductors Guild conference. He's the Laureate conductor of the Chappaqua Orchestra in New York, and he's the host of Interplay, a webcast that deals with all sorts of interesting musical issues that conductors and composers would be interested in. So I'm going to make this coffee and give Michael a call. Good morning, Michael. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Silas. Nice to see you.
It's a rare opportunity that we get to see each other's faces, especially this year.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, but here we are.
The last time I saw you, incidentally, was almost exactly a year ago in Chicago.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the Midwest Clinic, which is a
Yeah. Oh,
fabulous,
no, that's not true,
fabulous.
because I saw you in Montreal, I think, also. Were you there?
No,
Oh, you weren't there. No. So I
I
saw you
did
in
not
Chicago
go.
a year ago.
I'm in Chicago.
Right. Well, Michael, I know that you're not a big coffee drinker, but I've got my espresso here. If you don't mind, I'll just sip while we chat.
No, if you would go right ahead, I have my trusty water flask,
Okay.
which is I take it all over. And when I conduct, when I do anything, I'm always having my water at the ready with ice. It also serves as maracas.
If you need some auxiliary percussion. I'm curious. I also have a similar water bottle. Mine's plastic, but I take it everywhere I go.
Oh yeah.
And it's a little bit awkward when I'm conducting in rehearsal. I mean, I put it on the floor by my feet, but then you have to bend way over to pick it up. I wish that we need like a contraption, like, how woodwind players have the little rack that has all the reeds and little shot glasses full of water and whatnot. We need something like that for
Right.
conductors.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll have to get the carry-on version. We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I guess so. What did he have? I don't recall.
Well, he had this kind of high chair at the end because he couldn't stand. It was kind of like a racer's. He looked, in typical carry-on fashion, like he was driving a car.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how old he was; he just looked great. He was just good looking. Jealous. So, what's been keeping you busy these days?
Oh, a good deal. I mean, first off, this period started out very badly for me because right out of the box in March, I got COVID-19 pneumonia and I was in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember
As did
that.
members of my family also, but they weren't in hospital. They just had varying cases of it depending upon their age. Went in hospital for 5 miserable days and getting all kinds of super drugs, including hydrochloroquine, which they thought at that time helped. So
Yeah.
I have no problem with malaria right now, by the way.
Oh, well, sorry.
But it was horrible. It was horrifying because this disease really wants to just kill you. People say, "How did you get through it?" I said, "Well, I'm really cantankerous," and it was. I don't know. It's quite random. I think if you have underlying issues, it takes you. It
Yeah.
tried to take me, and I fought it.
Now, since you said you got it in March, I recall back in the spring, you were one of the first people I knew that got it, and I think to date, you're the only person I know personally who was hospitalized. But do you think your case was particularly bad because doctors kind of hadn't figured out yet how to treat it?
I don't know. I'm also approaching 70, maybe my age. I can't tell. I had fever for over 2 weeks. I had horrible back pain. They're right about it coming in your lungs. I had complete coverage of horribleness in my lungs as a result of the pneumonia that I developed. And at that time, there was a 20% death rate for people who got COVID pneumonia. It was really a bad time.
Yeah. Well, I'm
But
glad you're still with us.
yeah, me too. I love my family. I love
Yeah.
my family. And when I was in the hospital, that's all I was thinking about was Marge and my family. And
Yeah.
also, the other thing I was thinking about it when you ask about what am I doing is that I was then negotiating to get the rights to something I'd been chasing since 1971 when I hadn't even been born yet. All right. It's the novel To the Slave, a book written by Nobel laureate Isaac Bashevis Singer.
Uh-huh.
And it is about all the things we're worried about. It's about plague, pestilence, violence, systemic xenophobia, religious warfare, armies going something you from your commander background has some sense of armies going through Poland, killing people randomly, and the
Mm.
worst pogrom that preceded the Holocaust, strangely enough. It was called
Mm.
the Chmielnicki massacres. Out of this whole thing comes a love story of all things. And Singer, in his laser vision, has a Polish Catholic woman in 1652 falling in love with her father's slave,
Wow.
a Jewish observant man. Can you imagine? And
Yeah.
then what they have to face. So I said to myself, you're getting the rights. I hadn't gotten the rights yet. I got the rights in early May. You're getting the rights. You're cantankerous. You got to get the hell out of this hospital. This is with fever and awfulness. You got to write this opera. So in May, I got the rights after
Mm.
6 weeks of breathing exercises, I might add. And then I started a collaboration with Hannah McDermott, who is the wonderful librettist I'm working with.
Okay. Have you worked with Hannah before?
No, she's 27 years old.
Oh, wow. So how
She's
does a composer and a librettist meet up? Like, where do you go to find a librettist?
well, I know a lot of people in the industry, a lot of quotes, brand names, but I spoke to some of them, but I wasn't getting the sense that I could work with someone well, with one exception. But I met Hannah through referrals. Frankly, my this is the way it works. It's like tinkers to Evers to chance. You're the baseball thing with the
Yeah.
clubs. He's out. It was. I am represented by cadenza artists in the United States. I asked my agent, "Do you know of anybody?" "Well, I know an opera producer." "Okay, what's her name?" "Her name's Kath." So I speak to Kath, and Kath says, "Oh, this is very interesting. Let me read the book." She reads the book. She says, "We have to do this. Have you spoken to Corey? She's a dramaturg." "Well, no." I call up Corey, and we start working. "Corey, you know any good librettists?" She mentions three names. One of them is Hannah. And I talk to all three. I do auditions, like talks.
Hmm.
And I say, I'm going to take a gamble on this young woman. So we start working with Corey, with the and Hannah, and the three of us start working for weeks, months maybe, on the scenario. What's dramatic from a novel? It's an adaptation. So you develop it. And then we got to the end of the scenario. Kath is already working, the producer working on a possible, 4-page little pamphlet about our collaboration.
Hmm.
But then I said, the composer in me who's written 100 songs and written, song cycles with orchestra and written 2 other operas. And I say to myself, can Hannah write words that I can set? Not that she cannot write words. She's a poet. She's
Yeah.
also graduate from Juilliard, a singer, interesting person. Went to
Oh, okay.
Oxford.
Well,
Went
that
to
makes her like
Oxford.
exceptionally qualified for being a librettist, I think.
Well, I don't know. She's written short ones, written with the American Lyric Theater.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not so much is she talented. She's obviously talented. She's a magnificent human being, but can she write words that I can set? Well, in November, this is how fresh this is. In November, she sends me the love scene because I
Mm.
want to make a video of this for promotional purposes with singers.
Mm.
She sends me a libretto, and boy, can I set the words. Oh my God, what beautiful words she puts together, how dramatic and how echt to the story. So in 1 month, I write 250 bars.
Wow.
When I'm inspired, it comes out whack.
Yeah.
And we've now had it recorded by 2 wonderful singers. Megan Moore, who just won the Young Concert Artist auditions. She's
Okay.
fabulous. And that's a
Yeah.
soprano from a Juilliard graduate
Yeah.
program now. And Gregory Feldman, also a Juilliard graduate student, who's magnificent and great demand. So the two of them, through the wonders of Zoom and technology, recorded their parts
Hmm.
as Wanda and Jacob, the characters from the opera.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
pianist is Stephen Beck of associate principal keyboardist at the New York Philharmonic. So a great talent, and he did it remotely. So we laid down his track, then we laid down Megan's track, and then we laid down on top of that Gregory's track plus video that they did Marnie Nixon style lip syncing,
Yeah.
and that's going to be produced. It's in production now with Greg Siegel, a filmmaker. To
Oh, that's incredible. And I bet it was pretty difficult for all that stuff to do. I've been doing something a little bit lower brow, so recording some pop songs and stuff, and it's really,
Same.
really hard. But with pop songs, at least you have a click track, so it's easy to keep things together, and lip syncing is easy. But I mean, I don't know
Good
how the
at it.
music sounds, but it must be more complicated than
They're
that.
good at it, and they pay me a compliment that my writing fits perfectly in their voices, which
Oh.
you hear and you say, "Oh my God." So the
Yeah,
announcement I can tell you right now is that I'm signing a contract this week with the Jerusalem Opera, which is going to be part of a consortium of opera companies to do the consortium premieres
oh, that's wonderful.
when there is theater again.
Right. Well, I hadn't planned any trips to Jerusalem in the next year, but where might we see it in the U.S.?
Well, we're going to start talking to people. That's the purpose of the video.
Okay, great.
In the past, you can do showcases where you invite theaters to come to New York
Yeah.
or where Chicago or wherever you do it to come hear what we're thinking about. Well, showcases only exist now through video. So that's
You
a
mean
mo-
because of the pandemic or in general?
I think it's going to change.
I
It used to be
maybe,
that
yeah.
The New York City Opera used to have a series in which they would do it, and that's how I know my friend Mark Adamo started with Little Women. I
Uh-huh.
know the prototype is something that Beth Morrison is doing with other producers in New York to showcase operas. But frankly, you know, I think a new way of doing it is the way I just did it.
Hmm.
And I'll be able to get this out all over the country. I have a German agent now too. We're going to be going through Germany and France and England doing the same thing. I
Mm.
have a particular situation here, which is interesting. This is a universal love story, and it is amazing. And the story it's one of his greatest novels.
Mm.
And he applies what I called before a laser vision to people and their horrible tendencies to follow oppression in small and large ways. And not they don't have to be one race or the other or one religion over the other. Everybody does it, and everybody does it terribly. And in this case, the story of my Romeo and Juliet is going to rise above it all. And it's really quite something. So that's what I'm doing
Oh,
right this second.
okay. Well, it sounds like you're busy.
Plus, well, I have to tell you, after COVID-19 pneumonia, there's no more lethargy. It's it's what I say. Charles Dickens said, time and tide wait for no man or woman these days, too.
I have a small takeaway from COVID, but it pales in comparison because your experience was so. I mean, you were on death's doorstep, so I feel silly even saying it to you. But there are so many things I would have liked to have done in 2020 that I couldn't do, that none of us could do,
Yeah,
really. And there are things that I could have done at any time in the past, and I put them off.
yeah, same.
Go to this restaurant. Oh, that looks like a great restaurant. I'd like to go. I'll go some other time. Or maybe I should make a trip to this place. Well, I'll go next year, or I'll just go. And now that we can't go, it makes me feel silly for all the times I didn't just do the thing. So my takeaway when the pandemic is finally completely gone is that if you feel like doing something, just do it, because you might not be able to do it again. And so I wonder if you had that type of epiphany, or probably a stronger one.
Well, in recent years, I've been very active throughout the world, literally from Russia to Norway to UK to here, all over the country and Canada. I haven't done the Far East yet, and soon I'll do the Middle East, hopefully with the Jerusalem Opera. But the conducting opportunities and the recordings I've been making, and the conductors that have been doing my music, and instrumentalists. We travel a lot, and it's all good stuff. Everything was canceled or postponed, I should say. Trips to, I mean, I can think of three immediately: Calgary Philharmonic, Steamboat Springs, very close to where you taught.
Mhm.
And the festival there has members of the Cleveland Orchestra in Philadelphia, and they were doing a night of my music. Well, that's been put off till July of 21. We'll see if it happens.
Right.
And then I had also the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra. There's only three immediate ones that I start thinking of. Gloucester Cathedral, BBC going back. I mean, I can't even start. Uh, I wrote a piece for Tim Fain, the great violinist, who's collaborated with me previously on my violin, second violin sonata, piano sonata with Stephen Beck, same pianist,
Hmm.
and also my piece variations. I wrote a violin concerto for him called At the Shore of the Sea, Concerto for Violin and Orchestra, and that I wrote right before I got sick.
Mm.
Well, we would have been setting up premieres and recordings, you know, and they've all been like, I mean, there are wonderful conductors now that want to do it, which is great, but we can't set dates because we're still in this limbo. They can't set dates. They're doing, these restricted concerts now.
Are you
And we
feeling
don't,
impatient about that?
oh
Because
God,
you
oh
could
my,
be you
yeah.
could be of one of two minds, like, oh, these things are getting delayed. I really need to, when are we going to be able to do it? Or the opposite, which is like, we'll do it when we do it. How do you feel?
Well, as you know, I'm a conductor, a composer who conducts or a conductor who composes, but more of a composer who conducts, although I had my
Yeah.
own orchestra for 16 years and I've conducted all kinds of orchestras and opera theaters and so forth over the
Yeah.
years. I would say that I'm totally impatient.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, totally impatient, and I've always been totally impatient. I have very strong political views. I don't know how much you want to get through on this, but I have friends in Germany and friends in the UK in high positions and middle positions and low positions, all kinds of positions, who've been held back from their creativity. You and I work in a public way, in a forum where we need people.
Yeah.
We need to have audience. We need to have instrumentalists, singers, choruses, producers. You know, you have to be
Yeah.
collaborative. And as I enter for the third time my opera world now, I need casts of thousands. Can't do that with a pandemic that's the first like this in 100 years. So when I was in the hospital, I was feeling very, very aggressive towards our national leadership. I can tell you that.
I'll bet. Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
very blessed by Andrew Cuomo, to tell you the truth, too. He did a very splendid job. But, I believe in America. I do big time believe in America. My father was in the First Army during WW2.
Uh-huh.
And I was very proud of you when you were over there. You know that. We corresponded.
Yeah.
Big
Thank you.
time stuff. I love the Army. I love the services. I've worked a lot with the United States Navy Band, the top one with Captain Collins, who's magnificent.
Ah, yeah.
West Point Band, I've conducted. I love the service bands. I love American forces. And I love to support the idea of America. So we can pull together, and we should have been doing that up to now instead of nonsense. So,
Well, I think that if there's one little bit of common ground with all Americans is that America as a concept overshadows any party or particular individual or a group of individuals, and it's as an entity.
we have to hope for that. And if that doesn't exist, America doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pluribus unum.
Exactly.
It means
And
something.
unfortunately, people become so opinionated and so close-minded to other ideas that we make enemies of our friends. And
So I want to mention one thing. I was talking to somebody who's a little more centered than I am,
okay.
and we were talking about the general situation. I said there were two things. There's the health of the planet and the health of living things. Living things include humans, it includes animals, and it includes plants and the ocean, of course. Everything else is commentary. It's meaningless. What's in that tax bill? You know what? Next time we'll figure something out. So if we
Yeah.
don't have good health in our country from health organizations, and it's available across the board, so anybody can get the same treatment, then we're not doing what we should do. Music is the same thing. I recognize that the purpose that I have is to repair the shards that were broken when this world was created. And my Archangel Piano Concerto is all about that, which I recorded last year with Steve Beck and the BBC, National Orchestra of Wales. My opera is all about that. It's all about you and I, you and us. Again, e pluribus unum. Getting together, doing what my father's great generation did in World War II. We can be the greatest generation twice. Number two, we got to get there, and we have to do it through art, through teaching, through communicating, and doing all the things that are so important to people like you and me.
Hmm.
And that's how I see the services, the armed services.
I've always thought of the arts in general as, whenever somebody says, if you see a movie, what's that movie about? Oh, it's about this guy who falls in love with this girl. I think, no, it's about overcoming. A story is always about something bigger than what it actually appears to be about.
Yeah.
And so are the arts. And so people say, being a musician is about playing beautiful music, but I think it's about making the world a better place to live.
Now, one of the things that has happened since COVID came on is that I found another venue through my public relations friend, Max Horowitz, who handles my public relations. Radio.
Oh,
And
you've been on Sirius XM quite a few times recently.
twice, Symphony Hall. I had my own program on Living American, and then I did classics on film with Vincent Caruso.
Ah, okay.
Which was fabulous. He's a great guy. And my friend Pablo Salazar has been active there and doing the programming. It's been terrific. But then I've been on 80 radio stations since BBC, CBC, and NPR, and then commercial radio stations. This is all since March.
Yeah, wonderful.
But what does it tell you?
Had you been on the radio before 2020, or is this your first time?
Not like this.
Okay.
And it's because of having a good number of recordings, which are available on all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, Prime Music, Amazon. But getting out the CDs, they still want CDs at the radio stations. Getting them out to the stations using Max's good offices through Crossover Media, and then doing interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I've done three dozen interviews now.
Yeah.
Since COVID started. And repeats with NPR. It's been unbelievable. And what it told me was, and this is relevant to what you're doing on this broadcast, that it's not just the concert hall. I do believe that recording for a composer is essential. Recording for a conductor is also essential, whether it's video or a combination of video and audio. Getting the product out is the communication that we need. Now, today, my children's generation, and soon my grandchildren's generation, my two little ones, it's all about, the video and what's online. Now, you and I grew up in going to concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sneak into Carnegie Hall to see Stokowski conduct many times. That personal thing won't go away, because we do need that personal connection.
Yeah.
Hear the sound coming at us. My God, what a sound that is in a live concert hall that's got good acoustics.
Yeah, of course.
But additionally, there's a separate venue right now. And that venue is through social media, radio, and cable. So I'm very active in that way right now. And I've had over 80 performances, you might say, of music. And then I have my own show, Interplay, and I've been, as you know, interviewing friends in the arts.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes of it, and I like it. I admire you because it's quite a bit more serious than my show, which is purposefully light and not educational necessarily. But your show, you really dive in with some people and ask some hard questions.
These are all friends. They're used to my cantankerousness.
I didn't find you particularly cantankerous, especially in Interplay. It's a really engaging conversation. The recent one with, I think it was Michael Christie, I really enjoyed. And but you get right to the source. You're not just messing around with what kind of coffee are you drinking today.
Well, I don't drink coffee. I have to tell you, when I go into a coffee shop and I smell coffee, oh, it's amazing smell. But I never developed the taste. It's an acquired taste, people tell me. My parents loved coffee, and they didn't have their coffee in the morning. They would freak out. My daughter, when we traveled, I took her after high school to Milano, Munich, and Paris. 2 weeks. Time abroad. It's fabulous.
Yes, of
If
course.
I didn't get her her cafe au lait or her espresso immediately after she woke up, or Kaffee mit Milch, Milchkaffee, auf Deutsch. If I didn't do that, hell to pay. So,
The day was ruined at the beginning.
you know, and I would walk like a mile, especially when we were in Munich. We were in a suburb, and I had to walk a mile to the train station area where there was a very nice woman from Austria, and she spoke almost a Schweizerdeutsch, and I would speak to her in this kind of happy, eine Milchkaffee, bitteschön. And I'd bring it back to Elaine another mile back and give it to her, and she'd be waking up. She'd take it. Oh, thank you, Daddy.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's coffee, man.
Yeah, no, I love it, and it's a little bit different everywhere I go. And I haven't been all over the world, but in every place I've been, there are little traditions, and I like exploring that stuff. Just like you like seeing the concert hall in whatever town you're visiting, and you like
I have to tell you, when you're
food
in
and
a concert hall, like when I conducted at the Meyerson Symphony Center in Dallas, and you walk out into that stage and you go, oh my God, this is going to see 2,200 people coming to hear my music tonight. This is a great feeling.
yeah,
So I'm looking forward to getting back to that,
I'll bet.
and spreading the word, as it were. Yeah, it's there's a light. I mean, I have some light pieces too, but the whole point of this exercise, after all that we've been through, is to put our experience into what we do, and to share it with love and admiration for others. And in music, we can definitely say "E pluribus unum" too. I think it's very relevant.
I think you're right. Michael, I'm so happy that you were able to spend time with me today, and I hope I get to see you in person again soon.
Man, we owe each other dinner in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know where the next in-person conference will be, but maybe Chicago next December, or wherever the next Conductors Guild in-person conference
That'll be
is.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks so much for being with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
It's been a delight.
All right, bye-bye.